Welcome to Channel AMEC, your insight to the Australian visa system. Good day everyone, my name is Carl Young, your online YouTube visa consultant. Are you interested about migrate to Australia? Why don't you consider to subscribe to my channel and turn a little bit on the side. So once we have all the updates and news, you'll be the first one of getting all the insight. Now today's video, we will like to update a big news. Obviously it's regards to the reopening of the Australian border, and now the government of Australia welcomes international students. Let's check them out. They are actually, news came out late yesterday, as you can see, on the 23rd of September. A news came out at 6:21 p.m. and this morning, Friday the 24th of September 2021, they have updated information as well. So we will check them out all together for you, and let me read this title as it says: international students return to New South Wales by end of year. Now obviously, New South Wales is the largest, biggest state of Australia. Once this opens up, it's gonna be opened up for all the other states as well, as the nation of Australia is hitting its vaccination ratio at the goal of 70 to 80%. As promised by the Prime Minister of Australia, Scott Morrison, that the border shall be open to help the international education sector and also the hospitality and the tourism sector as well, which considered to be the largest cap of the entire nation of Australia. So hundreds of the international students will start returning to New South Wales by the end of the year. So I assume that's going to be prior to the Christmas, because no one wanted to do any business in Christmas. That's all holiday time. But however, restriction will remains for students coming from China and Nepal. Not likely to amount them, obviously, due to the unacceptable vaccination. We'll talk about that later in the in this news. So New South Wales Treasurer Dominic Perrottet confirmed that the plan will restart the state's critical international higher education sector to be finalized and will be form part of the state roadmap for reopening after the Delta outbreak, which, oh well, I don't want this information here. Now obviously the outbreak came from Sydney and Melbourne, which are still out there. Hopefully they can contain them. New South Wales will have the first mover advantage compared to the rest of the country. Well, I don't know if they should think about the thanks to the protest that peak up the actual record rate of COVID-19 contractions. And that actually pushes for the population to get vaccinated. Anyhow, let's continue to go on. We have the best university in Australia and working to bring back international students for about 12 months and about throwing disarray from the Delta outbreak. Obviously, there has been talk about New South Wales and South Australia have that pilot plan. Remember, a couple months ago before the outbreak, they were looking to bring the student back, but obviously the outbreak had cut through. He said tens of thousands of people in New South Wales are on international student market to work and restart the industry. A university vice chancellor filed on Tuesday discussed the logistic and including quota sharing arrangements. New South Wales Treasurer officially ironed out a detailed plan and announced on Friday, which is going to be today. The government source said that the Indian market was one of the top priority of New South Wales government as part of the new trade and investment strategy, noticing that they are specifically taking out the concerning with the student coming from China, obviously because of the obviously everybody know about the Australian-China relationship recently. Let's continue to read on. Deputy Premier and Minister of Industry and Trade John Barilaro said that the staggered return of students with stage 1 of the pilot plan will slowly expand and evolve. So that obviously not just to be just in New South Wales, but I believe the rest of the country of Australia will benefit that as well. Although states of Queensland, Victoria, Tasmania, Northern Territory and Westerners haven't got those pilot plans, but from the previous agreed the vaccination plan, and remember the 4 steps out for the reopening addressed by the Prime Minister of Scott Morrison. I think I was early this year, obviously had that plan out as well. So the international education sector sustained thousands of jobs across New South Wales and blah blah blah. Now the key is here. The safety of the people of New South Wales is paramount, and we are taking no risk. All participating students will be required to be fully vaccinated with a TGA recognized COVID-19 vaccine, and strictly quarantine protocol will be in place. The plan would initially require all inbound international students to be fully vaccinated with the therapeutic goods administration's recognized vaccine, including, here's the key, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, and AstraZeneca. Okay, these are the the 4 acceptable vaccine by the government of Australia. So if you're taking other vaccination other than these 4 brands, Australian government will not accept them, so you cannot come. And that actually excludes out all the Chinese student and also the Nepali students there. That's why they said that in the beginning. And this means that students from countries Singapore, Thailand, US, Malaysia, Hong Kong, Japan are among those initially allowed entry. However, students vaccinated, now here's the key, with Sinovac and Sinopharm, including those from China, Nepal, will not be able to travel to New South Wales for their studies. And I think that will be across the nation as well, because New South Wales will be the first pilot state to do this, and then they will expand it out to the rest of the nation of Australia. New South Wales government has been anxious at delaying international student return. New South Wales could see the state lost students to competitors such as Canada and UK. So Australian government is looking for a way, and obviously for the treaties between US, Australia and UK, you can also check through the vaccination requirement for UK, US, Canada and Australia. They are all correlate to each other. So I think this is a global trend in the future, in the coming future. Whether or not there's going to be any changes, we'll let everybody know. New South Wales University's quota based on the new 2019 enrollment number. International students will be required to quarantine for purpose-built student accommodations. Charter flight will be the first one to be used, and the invited expression of interest earlier. There's a 14 days quarantine period. Now let's check out the news came out this morning, whether or not there's any changes to this. So this one came out from SBS. Let me move that a little bit. Every website is a little bit different. So vaccinated international student return to New South Wales by end of the year, and this news is actually early this morning at about I think that's about 2-3 hours ago. So again, let's read on. Hundreds of vaccinated internationals set to return. So it's the same. Now, quarantine 14 days still required, although they have been vaccinated, because the world had learned that the vaccinated personnel still be able to contract it and pass the virus around. So they still require people to be quarantined 14 days in order to pass all that. Hopefully no one will get virus at all. So that's the key. That's the main goal. The first phase of pilot anticipated to bring back 500 international students to New South Wales on charter flight by the end of December. It will also only involve student holder who have been fully vaccinated with the again, this is the same TGA approved Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Moderna, and also Johnson & Johnson. I'm not too sure why this SBS doesn't have Johnson & Johnson in there. So make sure if you want to get vaccine for the COVID-19, you pick those 4. Okay, it means students initially from countries Singapore, Hong Kong, Malaysia, Japan, Thailand, and the US, but not for the market of China. Obviously, for the reason of they have been taking Sinovac and Sinopharm, which is not acceptable by the TGA or in Australia. The plan would not come at the expense of any Australian citizen or resident wishing to return home. So this is additional to the original plan. The Redfern quarantine facility has the capacity of 650 students under the structure that's being approved. So they are looking a way to expand further. Council of International Students President Bell Lim said that students are looking for a return. We all want international students to come back. University, including Western Sydney University, Macquarie, University of Sydney, UNSW, UTS, Australian Catholic University, and Newcastle and University of Wollongong, all among those ones. And independent providers will also be involved. This include International College of Management, Sydney, Kaplan, Navitas, Red Hill, and Study Group, which are the major education group. The international student sector in 2019 was fourth largest export. Again, that's not just for New South Wales, that's for the whole nation. And obviously that's very important. Similar pilot involved 250 student arrival fortnight from August was put on ice earlier because of the Delta outbreak. So anyway, this is very good news for all the international students, although it only started for New South Wales, but looks I've seen more information that will expand it to other states as well. So make sure you subscribe to my channel, turn on the little bell on the side, so once all the other cities announce their open up of the border, it will be the first thing that you want to know and return back to Australia. Should you have more question and query, more than welcome to leave a comment right down below, and I see you next video. Goodbye.